Hello, friends. Welcome to another dining room table edition of Friday Reads. I just have been in the mood that, like, when I am in the mood to film, I'm just going to set it up. and and I kind of feel like these chatty videos, I feel just more relaxed to just do them here or on my couch rather than like in front of my bookshelves, which seems weird for a booktuber, but like, I don't know, it just feels more formal when I go to my bookshelf space. So let's see, since the last time I talked to you, I think I said I was going to try to do a vlog, but I started it and then completely forgot that I was doing it. So that obviously didn't happen and is why you are seeing a Friday Reads instead. But I have been very busy, both in the uh, personal house projects department and the reading department. So my mom and I randomly decided at the beginning of May to rip out all of the carpeting in my upstairs and my stairs of my house. So luckily there was nice hardwood floors underneath that, they're old, but they're in good condition. I just had to clean them up a little bit. And my stairs are hardwood, but they're unfinished. So we're still kind of in the process of fixing those up and figuring out exactly what we want to do with it. But I think we're just gonna, sand them down and varnish them. So that was the big, like, quarantine renovation project that I did. Okay, sorry, my dad called and interrupted my video. So, anyway, where was I? Oh, I think I was going to tell you about my knitting. So, I started a new knitting project. I don't know if I showed you it before, but it is the Free Your Fade shawl, and it's a paid for pattern on Ravelry that I've been wanting to try out because it seems like everybody I know that knits has been trying this. So, and it looked really pretty, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with this huge self-striping yarn cake that I had that I used to knit my socks. And it didn't take very much of the yarn at all. So I had all of this left. And I was trying to figure out what to do with it. So Sarah from Steeped in Books recommended that I try the Free Your Fade shawl. So she said it was really easy. Well, for me, it wasn't so easy, at least to start. Now that I've finally gotten the hang of it, it is pretty easy. And it's going a lot faster, and I'll put a picture of where I am now. So I've finally gotten to the point where it needed to be on circular needles because it was getting too long for the straight needles that I was using. So I hurried up and ordered some the right size circular needles on Amazon. I still kind of want to get myself an interchangeable knitting needle set because I feel like it would, cut down on the clutter and I'd have a nice case for them and everything. So that might be like a late birthday gift to myself. I don't know. But anyway, so it's finally going and I'm enjoying it. So hopefully I will be able to use up that yarn cake and get it, out of circulation finally. So, or at least part of it. So, the reading. I have had a very productive audiobook listening month so far. It is now the 8th, and since May 1st, I have finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and that was what I was supposed to read in April. And for the Harry Potter 2020 read along that Tom Reads Things started doing at the beginning of the year. And I was supposed to do that one in April, and I only got the audiobook at the tail end of April, like the last day. So I started it like April 30th, and I finished it on the 1st or the 2nd. And it was very lovely. Well, it wasn't lovely because the bad things are happening now. And it was definitely the one where I am firmly in the it is now young adult camp. Like the series definitely starts off at middle grade level, and then at Prisoner of Azkaban it starts getting a little darker, but I think like older middle grade children could still handle it. This one though, Goblet of Fire, is like real real intense and definitely a young adult kid would be where I would put this in and who could handle this because there's like blood and death and all kinds of things. So I really liked this one. I remembered a lot of it from the first time I had read Harry Potter, but there was a lot that I didn't remember either. So yeah, I'm not gonna. I know pretty much everybody has read Harry Potter that wants to read it, but I don't want to spoil anything. But this one focuses on the Triwizard Tournament that involves Cedric Diggory. He is a main character in this one. He is a Hufflepuff and a really nice guy. And things happen with him and Harry. And yeah, things go down. But I really enjoyed this one and I gave it 5 stars because I don't foresee any reason why every Harry Potter book wouldn't be 5 stars. But we'll see. We still have, what was that, number 4, so we still have 3 to go. So we'll see. Next, I finished A Room with a View by E.M. Forster, and I buddy read this with Joe Smith. And this was the second E.M. Forster we have read together. And this one, I was a little bit worse with this buddy read than I was with Howard's End. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the audiobook that I was listening to, but I just had more trouble focusing on it. But this book focuses on Lucy and what's her I keep wanting to say Lucy Snow, but that's not right. Lucy Honeychurch and her adventures in Italy when she goes with her cousin and the people that she meets. And she meets the Emersons, who George Emerson becomes the sole focus of this book, or the love interest, maybe. And yeah, Joe and I both thought, we had both read this before, but both a very long time ago. Joe has seen the movie many times and loves it. I'm not sure that I've ever seen it, so I definitely want to watch it now that I've reread the book. And we both kind of didn't remember that a lot of it does not take place in Italy. Like just the first part of it takes place in Italy, and the rest of it takes place in England, which was kind of surprising to me. I just didn't remember that. And but it had, your typical Forster wit and social criticism and just jabbing at the traditional English way of life at that time, and just different little social criticisms that he makes, but in a really funny and fun way. Like he never, I feel like he never really makes his social criticism very dense and dark. Like he kind of almost has an Oscar Wilde quality to him. Like definitely not as absurd and as comical as Wilde, but it definitely is always a comic and cynical look at society, and I really like that about him. So I am enjoying all of the E.M. Forster that I have read so far, and I really enjoy reading them with Joe. And the last thing that I just finished reading a few minutes ago was Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. This I started back in March for the March of the Mammoths and just finished it today, May 8th. So I was buddy reading this with Tara from Buzzword Books, and we had taken 2 months to read War and Peace together, at the beginning of the year. And this one isn't anywhere near as long. It is 800 some pages, but it's not a 12, 1,300 page book like War and Peace was. But for some reason, this just was such slow goings for me. I don't know if it was the audiobook again, because it was a LibriVox recording that had multiple narrators, and I kind of hate that. Like, I don't want to put shade on LibriVox, but if you're if you're going to, do an audiobook narration, you should just commit to doing the whole book. And if you're going to do the audiobook narration and you're doing it for free, you should still put pride into what you're reading. And some of these people are just so bad at it. So I don't know if it was that, but because I really enjoyed the overall story of Vanity Fair. Becky Sharp is a character you love to hate. Like, she's just not a good person. And every time you think she's a good person, she surprises. Well, she doesn't really surprise you because you kind of know, but she she can kind of fool you at times and make you think like, oh, maybe she is actually going to change, and then she doesn't. You're like, oh, well, that was why did I think she was going to change? So, um, and Amelia, the counterpart to her, who is really a good person the whole way through, she was kind of like the refreshing air, I thought, to the story, and you just really wanted to see things go well for her, and you really wanted to see Becky get hers in the end. And the conclusion to the story was partly good, partly not good, but also probably a little bit realistic about how things would turn out for people. So, especially like if they are like, Becky is a very artful person and she knows what she wants and she's going to take it. And that usually works out for people that are like that, unfortunately. At least to a point, unless they make boo boo, then they might get caught. But if they're really good at it, they're probably going to keep going. Um, and Amelia gets some good things, gets a lot of bad things, and yeah. But most of the characters in this book were just very unlikable. Amelia and Dobbin were really the only people that I felt I could really root for in this. But then at the same time, Becky Sharp was just like so evil. You just like wanted to see what she was gonna do next and like who she was gonna screw over next. So it was a really good book. I kind of wish I had stuck with just reading the physical copy as opposed to listening to the audiobook. It would have probably, it might not have even taken me longer because, I might have read it slower, but I might have been more interested if I had just continued to read it. Like, I started at the beginning, annotating it and reading it at a normal physical pace. And then like I started listening to the audiobooks because I was getting like overwhelmed with everything I wanted to read. So then obviously you can see I stopped annotating because I can't annotate with an audiobook. I don't know. So I'm definitely glad that I read it or that I listened to it. And I think someday I will go back and reread it physically and continue with my annotations because it was a really interesting book. I will say that I kind of, this was my like, I read War and Peace, yay for me, gift to myself, because I just thought the cover was so pretty. But what I should do from now on, because these are expensive, these Penguins cloth bound classics are more expensive. They're not like outrageous, but they're pricey. Uh, I think that I need to reserve buying these books for books that I have already read and desire to reread instead of new books that I know nothing about, because it probably will be literal years before I ever try to read this again. But I did, I mean, I gave it 3 stars. It was a good story. Like all Victorian novels, it had superfluous information that didn't really need to be there. But I didn't take off points for that, because that's pretty much every Victorian novel. But I did take off points for it just being a slog to get through sometimes, like even more of a slog than War and Peace, surprisingly. So I have now finished 3 books thanks to audiobooks in the month of May, which is really great because I have a lot on my TBR. So what I have going on now, sorry, this will probably be kind of long. But what I have going on now is A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson for the Springathon that is happening for the next 2 weeks. This is really the only thing that I have on my actual TBR for this readathon. And I don't know that I will read anything else for Springathon. But if they do this next year, I might try to think about it a little bit more. But this was on my physical TBR from my library sales stack that I have been wanting to get through this year to make more room on my shelves. So I'm really enjoying this so far, but I'm only 1 chapter in, see, not very far at all. So this is going to be my plan for today, is to get more of this done. And then on my Kindle, I am reading The Odd Women by George Gissing for the read-along that Katie and Marissa are doing. And I'm really liking this so far. I'm way behind in the readathon, but it's really readable. It's a Victorian novel, but I feel like it's written in a very easy style. It's feminist. None of the women, I think, at the point that I'm in, none of them are married. They are all making their own way in the world, and that's what odd women means. They're like the superfluous, I don't know, the superfluous women that aren't married, and there aren't enough men in the world for them, sort of. But that they're like the girls that actually have to make their own way in the world. So I'm really enjoying it so far. And then I am also still reading Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson with Victoria from Victoria Reads Too Much. And we are on part 2. And she's reading it faster than me. I am still a little bit behind, but my plan for the day is to finish part 2 on audiobook while I work. So yeah, I think that I should be, as long as I stick to a lot of audiobooks, I think I should be able to get my TBR done this month. I am actually kind of missing reading physical books more, so I'm glad that I have these 2, that I can kind of have a palate cleanser from audiobooks, because I'm finding that between watching BookTube and listening to audiobooks all day while I work, I'm kind of getting a headache from all the constant sound. So I'm finding that I need a break just to have silence and read. So that's actually good, because for a while that was not how I felt. All right, friends, that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry that this was kind of long and rambly, but I feel like I haven't talked to anybody for a while. I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.